My name is Professor Paul, and I've got a very important message for you. You're not defective. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. Now, there may be some things wrong with your thought systems and some logic errors that you make, but there's nothing wrong with you. I've got 4 different degrees. I'm CEO of a major education company. I've won multiple teaching awards. I've run mental hospitals. I've held 2 different licensures. I've taught at university, hence the name Professor Paul. And I'm telling you, I've treated thousands of people, and I've yet to find somebody that's truly defective or broken. I never looked at a person across the room for me and said, boy, there's nothing I can do for this person. They just can't be fixed. They've got too many challenges. There's something seriously wrong with them, and I can't help them. That has never happened. Times all the thousands of people who just wandered into my office asking for my help. You're not going to be any different. I'm going to walk you through why this is true to your satisfaction, so you will come to know, you will come to believe that there's nothing wrong with you. You just need to change some thought systems and some ways that you do things, which are actually fast, simple, and easy to do. And before you leave this training, I'm going to give you specific tools, strategies, and techniques to do this. This is my heartfelt gift to you. I'm not here on YouTube like the gurus trying to make a buck off of this thing. I'm here to save one person from a life of misery. If I can do that, then all my work on this channel will have been dutifully repaid. I will be thrilled. This is my legacy piece. I want to help people like you. So watch through the end of the video and your life will be transformed. I promise you that. So how do I know that there's nothing wrong with you? Well, you had the mental capacity to come here, look in a search engine, get onto YouTube, and to take this training. Therefore, you have all the mental capacity that I need to make sure that you have a great life. So you can do things, you can learn things, and you can make changes. That's all that's required. You're not in a lockdown psychiatric ward on serious antipsychotic meds. You're sitting here watching a YouTube video. So I know that I can help you out. That's all I've ever required. There's nothing wrong with you. What happens is you come to believe lies. And the lies are, I'm broken, I'm defective, something is especially visited upon me, and therefore I can't possibly get any better. And you block yourself off from all help. So the first understanding, the first awareness you need to have is that you're not broken, you're not defective, there's nothing wrong with you, and therefore you can learn tools, strategies, and techniques, and you can change. And you can change rapidly. Matter of fact, I've never done slow therapy with anybody. I think the longest I ever did therapy with somebody was 32 sessions, and he didn't really need the last 3. He just kept coming, and I finally had to force him out. But this was a guy who had serious major depression. He was currently an alcoholic. He had substance abuse problem. He was going through a divorce. He got fired, and he wanted to lose 30 pounds. Well, we went through all 5 of those things. And that's a lot of therapy to do, but 32 sessions. So the guy's coming twice a week. So what's that? In about 3.5 months. Wow, total life transformation. The average person, I usually see them 12 to 15 times. And again, I see them like twice a week. And shoot, by the end of a month or 2, they're done. And I don't care what their issue was. It's gone. It can be the same for you. Just stick through the video, watch to the end, and learn the specific strategies. The first thing that I want you to learn is kind of a quick start thing. It's an old Zen philosophy. This can dramatically change your life if you just come to learn this, memorize this, and internalize this. Believe it to be true because, well, it's true. It has the benefit of being true. So hear this quote and write this down. Maybe I'll even put in the description below a link to, I'll make a nice poster of this or something for you. If I forget, put a message in the comments and I'll go ahead and I'll add it. Here's the old Zen philosophy. Write this down. You were born beautiful, perfect, and innocent. Every child is born this way. Like I said, unless you're in a lockdown psychiatric ward drooling on yourself and severely brain damaged, you were born beautiful, perfect, and innocent. There's no defective babies. I'm telling you, it's the thought processes that change over time. It's the philosophies and the beliefs that I'm going to get to in a moment that totally destroy your life. We used to have a joke as therapists. We said, if you aren't totally screwed up by the time you're 18, you weren't paying attention. It's rough out there. Wear a cup. People are getting brutalized. They had bad childhoods. They got alcoholic parents. There's sexual abuse. There's physical and mental torture going on. And then the kids come in, and these are people who are supposed to be your friends that you're surrounded with, and they start torturing you. And, life goes wrong, and there's accidents and losses and deaths and illnesses. And oh my God, it's brutal out there. The reason you feel so lousy is because you've been exposed to life. Now, the way you make meaning out of that is transformative. So we're going to change those meanings for you, and we're going to do it right now. I want to teach you a theory of psychology. And the funny thing is, there's not actually a school of thought out there for this theory, so we'll call it the Paul theory for now. People are all about their stories. We tell a story called Who Am I? It's a story we tell ourselves about ourselves. And that becomes what? That becomes our identity, our vision of ourselves. It sets a glass ceiling for how high we can go, and it sets a glass floor for how low we can go. Because that type of person, of course, would never go higher than this, and they'd never go lower than this. That's how I see myself. Well, how you see yourself is everything, because everything that happens to you in your life flows from that. Everything you're going to do, every action you're going to take, every risk you're going to take or not take flows from that. So your identity is paramount. But what is your identity? You think, oh, that's who I am. No, it's a story you tell you about you. But here's what I'm going to tell you. It's just a story. You're the writer, caster, director, filmographer. You do the whole thing. You can at any given time redecide who you are. See, people think they just are who they are. And if you haven't learned these types of philosophies, that's true, because you'll mindlessly run a program. But you can radically change who you are when you realize that who you are is just a story. It's a story you tell yourself about yourself in your head. And you are free to change that. Let me prove it to you. What's the difference between a success and a failure? The difference between a successful person and a failure type person. The successful person has a story in their mind that they tell themselves about themselves that says, I'm a successful person. Does that mean they never fail? Oh my God, successful people fail more than unsuccessful people, because unsuccessful people won't try. But the successful person knows that they can fail 1,000 times. And to be a big winner, they got to win once, take that system, and then duplicate it and scale it over and over and over again. And they call you a massive success. Even though you only succeeded one time out of 1,000. You were willing to go through and never stop until you were successful. What does the failure personality do? They say, I'm a failure. And they look back over their past and they pick out every incident where they ever failed. Just probably the same stuff everybody has for failures in their life. But you think it's especially visited upon you. And you say, I'm a failure. And then when you look to do something, you say, well, I shouldn't try that because I'm a failure. Or you give it kind of half an effort, because I don't want to think I give it a whole effort, because if I fail, that'll be really painful. You did your absolute best and you failed? God, what a loser. These are the things that failure mentality people try to get away from. But it's just a story in your head. I could look at the exact same person and I could show you absolutely, positively, scientifically that they have everything they need to be a massive success. Now, I could take that same person, and if I want to dig through their past and their history, I could absolutely, positively, scientifically prove that they're a failure, they're going to be a massive failure, and there's no way out. Whatever story you feed into your brain, it will go through your entire life history, all of your past, everything everybody's ever said to you, and it will prove to you that you're a success or that you're a failure. And it can do both for the same person. It can even imagine things in the future. Am I going to, well, maybe I've been a complete failure my whole life, but I picture myself as a success. And that person will be successful. Even though their entire past says, hey, you're kind of a failure. You got nothing. You're sitting here in a, dingy room, broke. But Your belief in the future, as opposed to your belief in the past, will make you successful. A failure person can do the same thing. They could have a pretty good life, have, grown up in a Brady Bunch house and, had a great life. But they said, yeah, that was my parents. That wasn't me. When I tried little things, I failed. I got third place on the swim team competition and blah, 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 blah. The pretty girl said no when I asked her to dance. I'm a complete failure. Nobody at school likes me, blah, 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 blah. They bring in all their failures and then they picture themselves in the future as being a complete and utter failure. Now, your brain's a dumb goal-seeking mechanism. If you say, hey, you picture yourself as being a failure in the future, it says, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I will get right on that. You have given me my instructions, and I will help you make that goal happen. This is what is the determining factor between winners and losers, successful people and failures. Notice something. They're using the exact same strategy. Go through your past and imagine your future and pull in all the positive things to feel like a winner, or go into your past and go into your future and pick out all the negative things, and that'll make you a failure. If you're feeling like you're broken or you're defective, guess which system you're using. Now, here's the other challenge that you have. And this is a lot of the reason why people feel like they're broke, they're defective, they're a loser, things aren't going their way, and they never will. It's something called the imprint period. Everybody from birth is programmed. And they're completely programmed from age 0 to about 5 to 7, depending upon who you like in the literature. But it's called the imprint period, where, just like a computer, you're born as an empty hard drive and people throw data and programs in there, which is their BS, their belief systems they throw in there. Now, you get it from multiple sources. Your parents are a huge source. Your siblings are a huge source. Your friends are a huge source. Society is another source. Teachers, as you go through and are indoctrinated in the school system, are a huge source. The internet now is a huge source. Other forms of media is a huge source. And society is in general. Plus anybody you just happen to interact with, or any data that you take in through your mind over time, is completely absorbed. Matter of fact, you have a perfect memory of every single instance that ever happened in your life, but it's locked in your subconscious. But it's all part and parcel of what becomes this story of who you are. Do you ever hear the expression, it's 10% what's out there and 90% how you take it? That's the next limiting factor. So, step 1, imprint period. All this data coming in, and you never actually programmed your mind. So for some of you were programmed for success, for some of you were programmed for failure. But it's just a program. Programs can be erased and rewritten. More on that later. And then even as the data came in, you were in charge of interpreting it. And you may have interpreted it wrong. Some parents will come up to their child and they'll say, oh my gosh, Paul, I love you so much. You're a wonderful child. What a wonderful son. This is awesome. And you'll say, wow, my parents love me. This is great. I must be a winner. I'm loved. I'm appreciated. I've got every reason to do good in the world. And they go out and they feel fantastic. Other people, their parents say, Paul, you're a wonderful son. You're fantastic. I love you. I think you're so special. And they go, they're my parents. They have to say that. And nobody else has ever said that. Maybe they're just saying that to kind of boost me up because they know I'm a big fuzzy loser. And they just, they're trying to protect me and they're trying to, pick me up and lift me up because I can't do that on my own. See how the interpretation is huge and can go wildly wrong? We've got to start interpreting things in our favor. Use this system for ourselves instead of against ourselves. As you're going through this training, I want you to notice a common denominator. It's the same system for success and failure. It's more about interpretation, usage, and how you take it. Again, 10% what's out there, 90% how you take it. Now, the next thing, and this is absolutely crucial, has to do with that identity again. I want you to stop believing lies you have about yourself. They're utter, terrible, disgusting lies. They're not doing you a damn bit of good. Throw them out with the rubbish because that's what they are. A complete and utter load of crap. Let me give you some typical ones. Let me look through my list here. I'm not good enough. Who cares? You probably are good enough, and that's an absolute positive lie. And if I were working with you, I could find incidents where I could show specific times where you were good enough. You're good enough at a lot of things. You're great at a lot of things. But you pick out one thing and you say, well, yeah, but I'm not good at this, Paul, and this is really important. And that other thing you mentioned, that's not important, and this is important, so therefore I'm not good enough. I don't care if you don't know a damn thing about anything. Here's what you can do. If you say, I'm not good enough in an area, I'm not good enough at communication, great, become an expert in communication. I'll give you one of my free trainings on it. Do that for about an hour and a half, practice for 2 or 3 months, and you'll be one of the best communicators out there. I don't care if you're not good enough, because you can learn the skills, practice the skills, and become better than 99% of people out there in a very short period of time. That's a crap excuse. It's a crap belief. It's crap. Get rid of it. That's what you do with crap. You flush it. So flush it. So that one is a complete and utter lie. It's 98% of the time it's a lie right out of the get-go. It's just not true. It's a misbelief. It's a denial mechanism. It's a misinterpretation. It's a falsehood. And the other 2% of the time, you can gain those skills. Next one. I'm my past. No. If your past was great, congratulations, but it's over. If your past was horrible, sorry to hear that, but good news, it's over. That's why I always tell people, be more concerned with your future than your past. Why? Because that's where you're going to spend the rest of your life. Matter of fact, your past is just an illusion. What is your past now? It's a series of stories in your head. You cannot touch your past. You cannot go back to your past. You cannot repeat your past. You can't do any of that stuff. The past is gone. Matter of fact, I saw a quote in a book. It said, the past is the perfect preservative. This power is denied even unto God, the ability to change the past. It's gone. It's over. You can't touch it. Every single moment of your life as it goes by is never to be touched again. It's gone. If it's gone, then I don't have to believe in it. I don't have to live it. And it has nothing to do with my future. Your past tells me everything about what happened to you and who you were then. It tells me zero about who you're going to be and what's going to happen to you. Unless you just keep running the program and don't do trainings like this. So, don't believe that you are a product of your past. Also, remember, 10% what's out there, that's your past, that's your learning pool, that's your data set, and 90% how you take it. A simple reinterpretation of using these things from your past for you instead of against you makes your past awesome. You know what I do with my past? You know why I'm a winner? Because I take everything that was great from my past, every strength, every success, every asset, every piece of data, everything that could possibly help me in the future, and I use it. Then I take every crappy, nasty, horrible thing that ever happened to me in my entire life, every negative thing, even negative things that I heard about in other people's past that I should kind of watch out for, even though it didn't happen to me. And I take all that negative stuff and I use it. I use it to empower myself. I use it to motivate myself. I gain lessons from it. It's like there's 2 sets of lessons in life. Here's what works. Do more of that. Those are the positive things in life. Here's what doesn't work. Do less of that. In between limiting your losses and maximizing your gains, that's how you become a massive winner. It's not that everything is positive in your life and only positive things happen and you never fail. Oh, no. You take the pluses, the minuses, the wins and the losses, and use them both to drive you forward. Now, the next major lie is that I'm a failure. Think of it like Sylvester Stallone. He had a great quote in one of his Rocky movies. He said, here's how you become the champ. You get up one more time and they knock you down. That's all you do. You get a really hard head. You take the punches and you just keep going. You cannot beat a man who will not quit. Hello? You cannot beat a man who will not quit. You just keep going. You're not a failure. You haven't finished your story yet. So we don't know how the story comes out. We don't know if you're a success or failure. You're taking these strategies and you're learning these tools so you can be successful. And you know what? A failure would have dropped off the video by now, or they'll drop off before the end of the video because they're avoiding the help. I'm going to give you all the tools, strategies, and techniques you need to be massively successful. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you even more resources. So you can't possibly lose unless you what? You quit. I can't even be bothered to watch a video. Oh my gosh, it's 20, 30 minutes long. I've got to learn all this stuff and then I've got to take some action. Oh my gosh, maybe I can have my personal trainer come by and do it for me. No, you have to do the work. But you can't possibly fail if you're willing to learn, willing to do things different, willing to try things, also willing to fail, learn from the failure, and keep moving forward. Now, the next major lie is nobody likes me, everybody hates me. I saw an old Ziggy cartoon. If I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen for you. He's sitting there on the couch talking to a psychiatrist, and he says, oh my gosh, nobody likes me. And the psychiatrist thinks about it for a second, and he says to Ziggy, you know what? There's about 8.3 billion people on the planet, and that's how many people don't care about you. They're not even thinking about you. Everybody doesn't hate you. You're thinking of 2 or 3 people that hate you, and you're calling that everybody. 8.3 billion. That's a lot of people. They don't care one way or the other, and they could be your friends. Now, next one is, I'm not talented or special. If I pick through with 99.9% of people, I can find a special talent. And if not, you can gain a special talent. When I was a young kid, say I'm like 10 years old, you know what was special about me? Nothing. Cute kid, played with my toys, wasn't particularly intelligent. There was nothing special about me except, boy, I was kind of a nice guy. That was it. Now there's lots of things that are special about me. How did I do it? Through a lot of damn hard work. By the time I got through high school, I replaced my Kung Fu instructor. I trained and trained and trained for about 1.5 years, and then he died and I took over. So that made me special. Learning new skills, doing it over and over and over again, putting in the work, and then you become special. I had friends that played the guitar. I thought that was pretty special. I want to learn that. Maybe I'll do that in my retirement, learn how to play the guitar. You become special by picking a skill, something that'll make you special, learning it very carefully, and then doing it over and over and over again until you develop mastery, and then you're special. How do I do these videos? I was willing to be extremely bad at them, do them over and over and over again until I became good, and now I'm a corporate trainer. I teach people nationally and internationally. Do you know where I started from? A gut-wrenching, crippling fear of speaking in public or ever doing a video like this. If I knew I had to do something like this and I had to do a 3-minute presentation for a class or do a little video like this, I would be sick and nauseous, almost to the point of constantly wanting to vomit for about a week before I had to do it and about 3 days after it was over. That's how bad it was. But when I became a therapist and you had to talk to people and talk in groups and do things like that, I stretched myself for my clients, for my patients. I was willing to do for them what I wouldn't do for myself. And pretty soon I'm talking in front of more clients and the groups are getting bigger. And pretty soon, I'm teaching other therapists and I'm going to university and giving presentations. And then I finally went to Toastmasters and now I'm a great speaker. Became special. How? Didn't quit. Learned a skill, did it over and over again. I got 4 different degrees. Now I can teach at university. Makes you special. Started a YouTube channel. Now people know me nationally and internationally. Started my own training company online. Became special. Through a lot of hard work. See all those books behind me? Read every single one of them. Over on this side, I think there's another cabinet full of books. Out in my garage, there's about 10 times as many books. Then 4 different degrees, then all the mentorships, trainings, webinars, YouTube videos like you're watching, all these things that I've done. And then you say, hey, Paul, you're kind of special. A lot of hard work. You can be special in any area that you want to get good at because the bar is so low. Say you wanted to become do stuff like I do. You want to become a communications expert. I'm going to just do trainings on communication. Read 3 books on communication. Probably take you about a month and a half if you're reading like, half an hour a day. You'd be done Yeah, end of the month, month and a half, take your time, take notes, draw pictures. Then you would know more than 99.9% of people out there about communication, and you could easily do an hour, hour and a half, 2-hour training, maybe even a 6-hour training on communication. And people go, oh my God, that's the best training I ever had on communication. Because they're starting at zero and you've got like 1,000 pages of information on how to be a good communicator. Hey, congratulations, you're special. Now, another one, there's something wrong with me. No, you think there's something wrong with you. You tell a story about yourself that there's something wrong with you. Again, if you told me what you thought was wrong with you, I could prove to you in minutes to your own satisfaction that that was an absolute and utter lie for a lot of the reasons I've given you already. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need new skills. And I'm going to teach you more soon. Now, the last one is my past defines me. Well, if you grew up in my family, if you grew up with my father, if, you were born a poor black child in the ghetto, you'd end up just like me. Well, I don't know if you've seen Shark Tank lately and you've seen the black gentleman up there and he's a multi-millionaire and I think he had a clothing line named FUBU. He's one of my favorites. I really like him. Watched him for years. He grew up poor black child in the ghetto. There's lots of people in your exact same situation that had your exact same problems that are massive successes today. Every time something bad happened to them, they used it to motivate them to move themselves forward. Every time they found something that they thought was bad about themselves, that was lacking, they simply said, that's an area of weakness. Let me study it. Let me learn about it. And let me become stronger in that area. I'm going to attack my weaknesses, not try to hide my weaknesses. I'm going straight at them and I'm going to crush them. And then that became what defined them. They also said, like I've told you earlier, don't let your past define you. Let your future define you. This is the dividing line in your life. Today, I want you to start thinking, my past is just a fiction, and from here forward, I'm going to decide what my future looks like. And I'll work every day to make it the way I want it. And I will work it, I will study, I will practice, I will train, I will force it through sheer will and knowledge and action to be the life that I want. Now's the exciting part. Let's look at some very specific solutions. Now, this can't be the be-all, end-all, because obviously in one short training, you're not going to get every single answer you need, but I'm going to give you some tools, strategies, and techniques, and I'm going to show you where you can get those answers and get additional training. Matter of fact, I'll put some links to good trainings in the description below. And of course, go ahead and like and subscribe. That way you get all my fresh content. I'll be making trainings on a lot of this material that I'm going to share with you today. So if it's not here today, hey, it might be here next week or tomorrow. So keep looking for it and go down through my playlist. By the time you get done with that, I'll have some more content for you. So the first solution is stop believing in the lies, start believing in yourself. I want you working for yourself and not against yourself. Anytime you have a thought, you have an idea, or you take an action that is working against you, you've gone insane. Realize it, catch it, hear these negative thoughts, tell them to shut the hell up, and then move forward with a positive thought, believe in yourself, and move forward. Take positive actions every single day. Notice when you're working for yourself and do more of that. When you see yourself working against yourself, stop it, cut it out, and move forward. Now, I'm going to share with you 2 wildly powerful strategies. Remember we talked about your past programming you, the imprint period, all these types of things. Now you're just running a program. So how do you reprogram your brain? You do it with a 2-fold system. The most important by far is something called REBT, Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy. This is literally the science created by Albert Ellis. He lives in Clearwater down the street here. It's the science of how you deprogram yourself, get rid of all the old negative beliefs and systems that are holding you back, and reprogram yourself for the positive beliefs and systems and strategies that you need to have in your mind. This will also help you get rid of some old pain. Now, There's a second system called NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. Some of you may have heard about it. Anthony Robbins tried to make a big thing out of it, and he was successful. It got to be used for sales a lot. Well, it's kind of bastardized for sales. It was really originally designed by Bandler and Gringler to be a therapy system for people that had traumas. It was to get rid of old pain, not sell people widgets. It was to get rid of old trauma and old pain. It's NLP, neuro, brain, linguistics, the words you use, and programming. So how you use your mind to change your language to reprogram your brain. So REBT and NLP are the two ways to reprogram your brain. Once you can reprogram your brain, you can transform your entire life, and you have complete and utter control over yourself and can install new beliefs, new values, new motivators, new ways of seeing the world, new skills, new strategies. You will do fantastic. So again, look through my playlist, see if these trainings are in there. If they're not, go ahead and find them somewhere and you'll do fantastic. Make this a number one priority. The next thing is you got to change your identity. I don't care how you sell yourself in the past. I want you to start envisioning who you want to be in the future. Get a really clear picture of who you want to be. Maybe you've got a role model. Maybe it's somebody you've always admired on TV. Or maybe it's a mentor, an old friend, a relative. Maybe it's a parent that you want to be like. Imagine yourself being like them. And then it's almost like the old bumper stickers. What would Jesus do? I always thought those were funny, but that's a good strategy. Picture the person you want to be. Maybe you've got a good template of this. They call it an avatar this day, right? Because of the internet. And just say, what would that person do? Like I used to do that with my Kung Fu instructor. Whenever I had a problem, I said, geez, what would David do? And prior to that, I said, what would my dad do? And even not prior to that, I'd say, geez, what would David do? And what would my dad do? And the answer probably somewhere in the middle. One of those two people is going to have the right solution. And that's what I need to do. So don't do anything that doesn't look like the person you want to be. Now, if you change your identity first, everything's going to flow from that. And your identity can be very simple. You don't have to have this detailed, dream chart of yourself and really serious, intense avatar and everything. You can say, you know what? I'm only going to do things that work in my favor. I'm going to do the next thing that's good, kind, and loving. And I'm completely focused on being successful in my life, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. I'm not going to do anything that doesn't look like one of those areas. That's it. That's as focused as my identity is. I want to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. That's our motto here at Advanced Ideas. We want to make you healthy, wealthy, and wise. Matter of fact, if you're interested in that and want to get a quick start program, I'll leave a link to my membership site. I made it very cheap because, again, this isn't about money. This is all about you being able to get access to resources. But the small fee helps me keep the lights on. So you can go to my Life Transformation Academy, learn how to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. So change the identity first. And then once you see yourself different and you know the areas you want to go for, everything will flow from that. Here's another thing that's been really transformative for me. And strangely, I did it for other people before I did it for myself. I was a therapist. So I was a young therapist, and I'm like, I don't know enough. They're not teaching me enough at university. Patients ask me questions all the time, or they have challenges that they come up with all the time that I really feel like I'm kind of giving them a half-ass answer because that's all I got. That's all they taught me at university. And I said, that's not enough. Because a lot of my patients, they had diseases that were chronic, progressive, and fatal. They were from the neck up, but they will kill you. Depression, addiction, anxiety, people die from these things all day long. And all your failures go in a box. This is not cool. They also end up divorced, depressed, suicide attempts, end up in jail, end up hurting other people if you're not a good therapist. So I said, I got to be the best therapist there was. So I immediately ran to the self-help section. I said, I'll do a legitimate cheat. And I bought every decent self-help book and a few that weren't, but I learned what the difference was over time. And I gained great strategies. And that's why I have such a huge library. I literally started with one book. When I got out of college, I didn't want to read another damn book after my first 4-year degree. But I found one. It was Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins, and it was so good. I started reading book after book after book after that because it was such a page turner. And every page or two, I was learning something life-changing that I could use to help somebody else out. But what I found was I had to use the strategies on me because I don't want to share something with somebody and say, well, I don't really know if this is a good self-help technique. Does it really work? So I said, well, I'll experiment on the only person I can before I experiment on you. I tried it on myself. It worked great. I'd start feeling better about stuff. My life would start going better. And I say, okay, that's one that you can now use with a client. Then I did another one. Then I went to a place called Nightingale Conant, and I started getting all their audio tapes so that when I couldn't be sitting there reading a book, like when I'm driving, please don't read and drive. Don't drink and drive. Don't read and drive. I would listen to the audio tapes. I lived in New Hampshire. I had to go at least half an hour to hit a town. So half an hour, 45 minutes to work and back from work. That's an hour and a half every single day in that 45-minute drive of training. And I did that 5 or 6 days a week. Then instead of listening to, top 40 hits or rap music, I'd be listening to the self-help stuff. When I was mowing the lawn, when I was walking the dog, when I'm sitting around having my morning coffee, anytime I could get a few minutes together because it felt good. I was learning new skills and I get so excited about sharing it with other people. So constantly be working on yourself through all these methods, whether it's reading a book, whether it's going down through my playlist, looking at other YouTube channels and videos. Just make sure you keep the quality high. I got 4 different degrees. I got 2 teaching awards. I run a major e-learning company. I've run multi-million-dollar health facilities. I'm the guy who trains the guy who trains the guy to be a therapist. Now, some of the guys you watch on YouTube, the gurus, oh my God, you'll see them. They're classic. They're still like wet behind the ears. They can't possibly be anything like 30 years old. They got the glow lights behind them. They're simply copying other people's stuff. They're probably copying my stuff. They're all about making money here. And they sound so slick because they're not doing this out of their brain like I'm doing it with a couple of ums and ahs and, doing one take. They're sitting there in a studio. They have their team wrote their stuff. Probably AI wrote a bunch of their stuff. They had the transcripts downloaded from somebody else, and they're just rehashing old crap. And the classic thing that you'll see is the glow lights. If they look like they're sitting in a studio and they got glow lights, if you see the glow, they got to go. Don't get information from crap sources. It's kind of like doing accounting. If somebody gives you wrong numbers even once and you add that into the formula, you can screw up the whole thing. So always get good sources. Now, the final step, and my favorite step, is you need to believe in you. Your only job in life is to help you have a better life. It starts with, I believe in myself. I believe I can learn. I'm going to learn. I'm going to put forth the effort, and then my life will be good. You can believe in you. Even if your entire history says, I'm a failure, do that dividing line in your life and say, from here forward, I'm going to use the tools and strategies that Professor Paul just gave me. I'm going to go down through his playlist and I'm going to learn all the other tools. I'm going to pick out the ones that pertain to me. And then I'm going to spread out my search. I'm going to go to the self-help section. I'm going to, look through Google and YouTube. Maybe I take some additional webinars and trainings like this. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters that you get in a process of deep learning, taking massive action, always working in your own favor, and believing in yourself. Do you know why I did this video? I haven't even met you yet, but you're going to be like every other client I ever worked with. You come in and you don't believe yourself. You don't believe in yourself. You don't think you're good enough. You're lonely, depressed, and suicidal. I've seen it over and over and over again. And then you leave with such a huge smile on your face that I couldn't wipe it off with a crowbar. You're being massively successful because you learned the skills of success. You're willing to take the smallest amount of action, and then that works. And then you get even more encouragement. You take more and more action, and your life goes fantastic. That's been the history of every client I have ever worked with. I don't work with failures because failures won't come and they won't work with me. I believe in you. I know you can do it. If you got this far in the video, you're in the top 99%. You can do it. Start going through my playlist. And then, like I said, spread out the net, make sure it's good quality sources, and you will be massive successfully. I know you can do it. I have faith in you. Make it happen.